All right, so welcome, welcome. We are here with Noe Jose, who's a dear friend of mine. I had the pleasure of meeting in my escapades in Dubai. Noe, I am so thankful and so grateful that you are here with us today. And where are you tuning in from?
I'm tuning in from Miami, Florida, at the Fayana Beach right now.
Oh, nice. And you're doing something pretty exciting there this last weekend, is that correct?
Yeah, it was great. I was here for Bitcoin Conference 2023, and I am a part of this company called Earth Wallet, CMO, and we did some satellite events to build community. So it was pretty exciting to be here. I love the weather. I love the food, so close to my culture. So always nice when I'm in Miami.
Nice, nice. Yep, I do. I'm a little jealous. We already went over this. Love Miami. So I love what you were sharing with me about Earth Wallet and that you're there with that. I had no idea now that you can mint NFTs on Bitcoin. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So if you look at the charts right now, the Bitcoin ordinal movement is just went exponential. I
Hmm.
think if you don't quote me on this, but last time that our team checked, there were about $35 million in transaction fees in 1 month just for Bitcoin ordinals exposure. And this is just going to continue to grow because Bitcoin, the technology is just one of those life-changing things that it makes things unique, right? So they're minting these one of one products, right? And
Hmm.
people are not really into it right now. There isn't like major artists or major art being minted on Bitcoin. And it is one of those things where the Bitcoin community, we can say, is the strongest community in blockchain, crypto, hand in hand with Ethereum. But Bitcoin is really the leading force of what's happening in this space. And for them to now be able to, not when I say them, I mean the community, right? The community has now found ways to continue to keep that legacy alive. Um,
Hmm.
some people may think that it goes against it or it's not, but I just see it as new possibilities for artists to create and connect and build community. So it's been super exciting to just see the growth of that and see how the space continues to evolve. It's exciting to be in it.
Yeah, I love that you're sharing that. And I had no idea even that you could start minting NFTs on Bitcoin. Like this is news to me as of today. Um, and I've had a lot of people, me being in crypto happened completely by fate. Like I was not seeking it out, I was not finding it. And I ended up learning a lot just because of the networks that I was brought into it in. And one of the things that I feel fortunate enough to have been able to explore was I was able to do some reading, sharing the psychic reading space with some of the people who are developing this technology. And I was able to see their like soul encoding and their sole purpose was to develop this technology in this planet today. So when I had
Mhm.
friends and family that were, questioning crypto or talking smack about their own fears or whatever they heard on the news or whatever it was about crypto, one of the things that I was saying is that there are way too many brilliant minds in this space who I believe and I have personally seen are soul destined to create this technology. And they're creating it in a way that, like you're saying, is innovative. There's always a way. They've got that entrepreneurial mindset. And so, to what you're saying, it's like if Bitcoin is dipping, there to me there's just too much brilliance behind it to let it fall apart, and whatever challenges and obstacles keep showing up, the people that believe in it so wholeheartedly because that's what they are here to do are going to find ways to carry it through the dip, and they're going to find ways to carry it through the recession. So for me,
Yes.
hearing this as news, it's like of course there's new innovation being brought to this field. So I love to hear that. And I want to know from you personally, what was it that really inspired you to start stepping on to this path like in the beginning? What really first brought you into the world of the digital revolution and crypto itself?
Yeah, that's a great question you asked. And some new thoughts just came to my mind as you said that, because I would have, before this question, I would have said 2016. I got Butterfly Labs minting Bitcoin mining machine, and that was through one of my girl cousins on my uh, family side, on my mother's side, and he was the one that told me about the cryptocurrency Pi,
Mhm,
Litecoin, Bitcoin at the time. And now when you said that, the digital revolution in my mind really started when I was in high school, which was a bit before that,
mhm.
which is why I was so receptive to that information when it came to
Right.
me, because I had this guy in school when I was in high school, about 10th grade. I was selling sandwiches, soda, and making maybe like $300-400 a week just in the 10th grade. And this guy, I caught his attention. His name was Joe, and he was not a teacher, but he was facilitating someone who was needing special assistance, and he was always in the classrooms and things like that. And he took
Mhm,
some sort of appreciation to my energy, and was telling me, hey, like, you should research this, you should look at this book, you should. And one of those things was zeitgeist, and that movement of zeitgeist. And I'm a 10th grader now, looking at how the space around me isn't really what I was thinking it was, right? Or here I am receiving this new information.
mhm.
And that's when it really hit a switch on me, where there needs to be another way. If now I'm understanding that there's challenges, how can we start looking at solutions? And that's, when I got the call from my cousin, because I was always so aptitude to invest after I was already like making a few $100, thousands. I was looking into you know this information, and the universe gave me the Bitcoin mining machine, and we bought some mining machines. I could talk about a later time of how that evolved, but that was when my digital, I would say, revolution started.
Okay.
Digital finance revolution.
I love that. I love that. And so what brought you now to, because I'm sure there was like, a series, there's always a cookie crumb that brings us to where we are now. So what was the
Yeah.
series of events that brought you to the projects that you're connected to now, and what inspired you most to put your time and energy into helping to develop these platforms?
Yes. Once again, great question. You know, it's so funny because both of the projects that I'm working on now, they have been a part of my life without identifying those names. And
Hmm.
the reason I say that is because I was in a program called Liberty Leads, and I joined the competition in Columbia University when I was in 11th grade, I believe. 11th grade, or no, this was younger. This was younger than that. This was before I even went to college, Columbia University. It was a program that hosted us there called NIFTY, Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. And they there I had to create a business plan for being an entrepreneur. And my business plan was having a disciplinary space where we helped artists create content and then co-owned it and then pushed it out, right? And this was me at like 16 years old, 15 years old, creating this concept, knowing that there was a demand for community and creating and then pushing products out. Because at that time I saw how the gatekeepers were very, very selective, and there was barely any room for anyone to really be creative or create on their own and be successful. I mean, it was just so hard back 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 then, and still in this day. But and that was, for me, the time where like I saw that we had to make a change in that space. And that was always in my mind, right? So House
Right.
33, it's a multidisciplinary house where it is a mansion with 3 bedrooms, 4,400 square feet with unobstructed views in Hollywood Hills, right? That is the space that I've manifested since I was 16 years old, thinking about the multidisciplinary studio where artists can
Right.
come and create. It's just not at the same scale or level, but different, right? So, when you ask me that question, I'm just like, the cookie crumbs was already set up in an idea when I was younger. And now at the age of 28, when I got 26, when I got into it and made that investment in the music studio inside of the mansion, which is how I started earning revenue and percentage in the company, um, was already thought of. So that was that. And then in regards to Earth Wallet, I, been focusing on finding a project that allows me to create regenerative action, right? But we all know that it takes money to do things. And it needs to be not a charitable like a charitable approach, but more like, hey, we're providing a business solution in this tech space, right? Whether it's staking, whether it's minting NFTs on the Bitcoin protocol, whether it is merchandise, whether it's NFTs, whatever it is, there is an ecosystem of sustainability where we're utilizing profits, a percentage of the profits, and it's clear on the blockchain with a smart contract of where this is going. And there's public partnerships with companies like Dollar Donation Club, right? Or Sungai Watch, or, like Ecomedi, or different communities where they are receiving funds and then they have to prove their regeneration actions, right, for the community. And creating these behaviors, right? Incentivizing these positive behaviors for the planet isn't something that has went very viral, right? And some people even scold you for posting that you're doing something good for the earth, because then they're like, oh, you're doing it for attention. And it's like, we need to break out of that shell and start
Hmm.
encouraging these actions, right? Because we encourage liking on the algorithm of what else, right? Like beautiful women, right? And beautiful places and beautiful things. And why can't we focus on creating something beautiful and promoting these actions, right? So when I came across Earth Wallet, which I met in Bali, the founder, Suk, he told me the name Earth Wallet. And immediately my mind was like, wow, finance and the planet somehow, right? I
Yeah.
didn't even know what it meant, but I knew that that's where I wanted to be, right? Because of what I just said. I was looking, always been trying to figure out what's going to be the product to create that. And
Right.
now this guy tells me this name, Earth Wallet. And I'm like, wow, it was so simple to just put two words together and my idea was satisfied. And then I got to know him a bit. He invited me to Los Angeles. Well, I was in Los Angeles, but he came to Los Angeles to do an event. And the event was in a mansion. And he had a vegan and not vegan food menu with the chefs there. And he also had a non-alcoholic bartender creating mocktails. And, we sat in a circle, we ate food, and we discussed who we are and what we do. And then we watched the film that he created called Touch Grass, a Web3 journey, where he's taking a group of creatives on a trip in Bali to Mount Ijen, and they hiked up this mountain for hours and took in these breathtaking views of this, volcano, this mountain
Yeah.
volcano. And they were
The
able
volcano
to,
that created the island itself.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
beautiful.
And they basically they created this experience for themselves and disconnected from their digital hustles and were able to connect with earth. And I saw the film in the house and saw the whole community that he was building, and it resonated with me so much after even already connecting so beautifully with the name Earthwalk. And
Hmm.
this is when I knew, like, this is a sign that I should put my time and energy into a project like this. And
Right.
of course, we aligned the business side of everything, and we were able to come together to collaborate now, and things are going really well. We have many exciting news. We want to captivate a lot of the market share in the Bitcoin ordinal space, and yeah, I'm so excited for what the future has in stores for us, because our narrative is just something that's truly special.
I love that you're sharing this, and I want to add a little bit of information about Mount Agung, because I did spend 2.5 years in Bali unexpectedly during the entire
Oh
pandemic,
wow.
and I just want to share a little bit about the history because beyond the physical has everything to do. The whole reason that we're here having this conversation has everything to do with interweaving the metaphysical world that is beyond what we can see, hear, taste, and touch in our third dimension, which is my entire wheelhouse. And then the beyond the physical, the other side, the digital innovation. And that's where and why I feel that I was brought into the crypto world and the world of crypto completely by fate. And if I could explain, and I will, I'm sure, share the stories of how all of that happened. But I want to emphasize your story because there's a perfect interweaving of the whole concept of why we're here. So the Balinese believe that Indonesia, but specifically Bali, is the island of the gods. It is known as the island of the gods. And you'll see in Bali the gateways. It's a very sacred symbol. So you'll see like the gateways and the portals to get through even into people's houses. It's like a separation like this, but if you were to put them together, it makes the shape of a mountain. So they believe that the mountain is a very, very sacred symbol that brings you into the heavens. And so Mount Agung is said to have been pulled up out of the ocean by the fingers of God, by the hands of God, that brings that kind of unique quality and energy to Bali. And so Bali has an unbroken cycle of ceremonies for over 400 years, and it is the only place in the world that has that unique style of Hinduism. So the Balinese Hinduism is very different from Indian Hinduism. They have the same three gods, but they also do the unbroken ceremony cycles is full and new moon ceremonies. They take over the streets. If you've been in Bali for any point of time, you've definitely run into traffic of all of the people in the village dressed in white taking over the streets. And so that creation space for people that have spent time in Bali, and there's a whole point of contention with the tourism and the waste and all of the stuff that like is actually harming the environment that's there. And so it is something that I'm excited to hear is that inspiration of clearing and cleaning up the earth itself through interweaving the digital world and the digital revolution into that concept. So to have these brilliant minds, to have these brilliant entrepreneurs, and this is happening all over the world, and especially in certain hotspots. We have Tulum, we've got the Sacred Valley in Peru, we've got, I don't know if I would call Dubai a spiritual hotspot, but it's definitely a hotspot vortex of some sort. But to have that interweaving between the experiences of climbing a mountain, which is a rigorous endeavor. It is not an easy mountain to climb because it's like a lot on volcanic rocks and all sorts of stuff. And to connect to the wisdom and the vision that's being brought and birthed into life from that experience. It's like it's the whole point of having these conversations of the leading edge of tech innovation and the leading edge of our human expansion, the human capacity, the leading edge of human consciousness, what we're capable of creating in this world that can also protect the planet so that humanity can continue to survive and thrive and grow in this world.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, I love, love, love to hear what what you're involved in and knowing that there's those like pieces that click, and knowing when you hear something that you just know. Like, would you say that there was an inner knowing that it's like that there was a part of it that was made for you to participate in these conversations?
I really believe that I there must been. It's like, one thing that I love about when we met in our interaction was downloading. These were like common, like these were like words that were prevalent. It was like downloading codes, and I wasn't really tuning into that before. In the last 2 3 years, I've been more open to it, and now I can say that I for sure have been downloaded codes to be a part of this conversation. However that works, it doesn't make physical sense to me, but there is some sort of guidance that
Hmm.
happened, and whether it was just the event or the feeling and emotions that I get from certain situations and wanting to follow that, and be a part of that more than anything else, like whatever it was, I think it's
Yeah.
just something ethereal, but it's a force that's here. It's a force that exists for sure.
For sure. I would say in the last 3 years, I've been an out of the closet psychic. I've been doing psychic readings. I've been promoting, since my early 20s. I've been doing this for like 14 years at this point, long time. And in the last 3 years, I would say the connection and the awareness, maybe it's just me, but also maybe it's a transition with what's happening globally, especially at the end of the Mayan calendar and the Great Awakening happening, and as I lovingly call it, the Panini, that really had people asking some seriously important existential questions. Like, what are we doing here? Who can we trust? Who are the leaders in this world? Where are we going? And the one thing that I've learned that I can always trust, and this is true also for channeling and discernment of higher vibrational beings that we're connecting to, like we have to have discernment. We have to have our own internal compass that guides us into the path that is designed for us. And
Hmm.
that's what I heard you just speaking to, is that, like, why is there a magnetism? Why is there an interest? Why was there an interest for me to reach out to you? We'd met a few times, but what is that magnetism? What is that point of connection where there's something more for you there, and that there's something that is going to open doorways to you. And that's why I also like to talk about the cookie crumbs, because it's one way that I've learned that if you let enough time pass, that you're able to see why something happened in a particular way at the time that led to this, that led to that, that led to that, and it opens those doors. And the more that I've been able to look at hindsight, it's the stronger my confidence has gotten in the decisions in the present moment that lead to beneficial foresight. And how do we continue on that path? And so I love to hear that your connection with House 33, that's bringing in some big name musicians, that's bringing in some big name influencers, power, people that have influence in this world are powerful people, no matter how
Hmm.
they got the influence, no matter how they got the platform, no matter like why the spotlight is on them. But to be able to bring this kind of connection of entrepreneurs that have been traveling Mount Gung, that are receiving, the codes of their soul purpose to support the evolution of humanity, and to connect that to these things that are supporting the earth and the expansion of the well-being, that isn't the greed, the hustle, the money, the grime, the grind, the fast cars, the women, the whole story that's there. It's finding that point of substance that brings enrichment and fulfillment to what our life is and what our life shapes up to. And so
Hmm.
with that, I also want to, I would love to hear more from you around your views on impact, and what you specifically would love to have your impact in this world to be, and what inspires you to focus your energy and attention in that direction.
Impact is very, very, very important. And, we have to figure out more ways to know how to measure the metrics of what impact we want, right? Right now, I would say that there's a broad aspect of what my impact looks like, because there's impact when I meet someone on a day-to-day basis. there's impact when I do something at work. There's impact when I do something for my family, right? There's impact in my relationship. Um, so so those things I have to kind of like set metrics to say, okay, that was impactful, right? And measure that. But in regards to like an overall spectrum of
Mhm.
legacy, I would like to have, you know, I would want to define and clarify that more for myself to like have a title for it. But I really see myself inspiring children or inspiring youth, I would say, to quickly identify mental aptitude, tap into mental sharpness, understand how to ask questions to create structure in their minds about how the world works around them, and then identifying these challenges so that they can find solutions. Because, right now, a big issue is that the children aren't being taught the actual problems of the world. And they are like there's 11-year-olds going and speaking at the United Nations conferences. I mean, there's a great movement of what's happening. But in underprivileged communities, in my whole high school, where I went to high school, or
Mhm.
high schools in Los Angeles right now, or middle schools, even, elementary schools, there's a big population of children who are being taught to be consumers, who are being taught to not understand the problem. And they're going to grow into the problem, not knowing how to find solutions, and then be consumers of what's happening. So that is the impact I want to leave, is children becoming more sharp, faster, to understand the problems so that they can lead their lives based on intention, impact, and how to fix the world and the issues that they feel are impactful to them.
I love that. I love that. And in the conversation that we had with Inara, um, for this conversation as well, we were talking about how if we had the information that we knew or that we know now earlier, how much more beneficial that would be for our lives. And so connecting with those kids is so important.
Mhm. Yeah, water break.
Yes. Um, well, I love to hear that. Is there anything else that you wanted to connect with or add to before we close this out? Is there anything that you feel you want to add or leave with the listeners who are connecting?
Uh, yeah, I would say like let's start utilizing our, potential of influencers, and the potential of being able to speak to people, to focus on a message, and utilizing our Instagrams, our Twitters, our TikToks, our physical selves, um, to stand behind things that are challenging us, and invoking solutions and conversations of solutions. And it could be something as simple as hashtag make a pledge, um, where you can say, hey, I pledge to do better. I pledge to do better in my craft by not doing this, whatever. It could be anything, we're super creative people. But I've already got influencers like artist 24 Hours. He's a platinum singer and songwriter. I worked with Ty Dolla Sign, Wiz Khalifa, also Maxi Raya. Um, she's worked with Steve Aoki. They have a song that has about 100 million plays on Spotify, and she's been on tour with Justin Bieber. So working with artists like that on on a beginner level now, utilizing my relationships with these artists to focus on helping them create an intention to their fans, and that is powerful to me. So it's like, how can people utilize their immediate network, their immediate resources, to shift the narrative right? Shift the perspective. Um, a smile goes a long way, all of that. But like, how do we shift the perspective of what they're doing to then connect with their people, to then have their people do something great as well? And I it's a bright future, and I'm gonna keep creating these campaigns and experiences and spaces to have these conversations. And I'm just super excited to, work with you and collaborate and see where our journey takes us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And one of the things that I love to hear you say is in the immediate network. Everyone that's participating in this summit is a part of my immediate network. There are people that are in my phone as, text connections. And I did have to be ready for this. I will say that. I had an experience last August that I went to New York and I stayed with one of the co-founders of Unit Network, was able to learn about that platform, learned so much about how to create token economies. 2 days later, I came back and I hosted a retreat in Mount Shasta. And when I host a retreat in Mount Shasta, I actually have a podcast recording that goes in depth about what happened there. It was extremely multidimensional. Walked into the 5D cities that are in Mount Shasta. I didn't even know they existed. It was a wildly profound and transformative experience for me, to say the least. When I came back through that, I stayed for 2 weeks in my house and I basically channeled this entire business plan, which is what I'm focused on now. But this Beyond the Physical Summit and podcast was a part of that. And I wasn't necessarily ready to go into that. And then also with the whole situation with FTX, really shaking the crypto industry and all of that, took a few steps back. And it's just so clear that there's a timing thing that's happening right now. Like you're saying with minting NFTs on Bitcoin, the Earth wallet coming together, combining, finance and technology and serving and supporting the planet, getting the message out there about really doing some incredible things that support the well-being of humanity and support the well-being of the planet. And being able to use this reach, like you're saying, making a pledge, making an impact, it's so important to do that. And with the immediate network, I believe that people can be very shy, and I believe that people can be very reserved, and that people can hold back. And so
Hmm.
as I'm saying this, I'm feeling this pledge to even just make my pledge to not hold back anymore and to
Mm,
really speak out to that, follow the intuitive pings, send those texts, have that idea conversation, say, I have an idea, or are you open to have a conversation about this? Like if you're hearing this now and that person is coming to your mind that you're like, I need to text that person, or I need to make that call, or I need to set up that appointment. Like, let's get the ball rolling of what that inspiration is and what those ideas are so that we can activate our immediate network. We can make
mhm,
those connections because there's so many opportunities that I can guarantee are sitting in front of so many people that are just sitting there laying dormant because one or both people have not just picked up the phone and sent a
mm,
text and sent that inspiration. And so we're looking for connections. We're looking for collaboration. The season of the lone wolf is long gone and over. It's like now it is time. And this is one of the things that I love so much about the crypto world is how collaborative and supportive like anybody is that I've spoken to.
mm,
It's like, okay,
mhm,
yeah, tell me about what you're doing. Do I know anybody in my network that I can connect? And it's like almost anybody in crypto understands like the importance of connecting and that it's not a competition thing. It's a let's continue to lead the innovation moving forward. And those connections that we have, it's like we don't even see the value in it until we start the conversation, until we
mm.
initiate that movement. So I'll declare it now. No more holding back.
Exactly.
letting, yeah, letting that move
Let it
through,
go.
letting those inspirational pings hit, and following the lead with that. So Noe, I want to say thank you so much for being here. I love
Yes,
how
thank you.
yeah, I love how the universe and life just interweaves these lovely webs, and that we can continue to see how this path will open and unfold. I'm definitely inspired by the projects that you're on now, and I recently had a vision that came to me specifically about a mansion in LA. And it came out of left field, and I was like, what is this? Like, what is this vision that I'm seeing? So to hear you say
Wow.
that today, like, dropped in such a clear connection of like, no, that's what that is. That's why you were seeing that. That's what's here. And I was like, I just love
Stop
it. The more,
by.
yeah, the more I lead with my heart and the more I continue to let those visions come through. And again, not holding back, speaking to it, saying it, sending the text. It's so important for the movement of entrepreneurial desires, cross pollination, and how we can continue to the last conversation was about how can we continue to bring money into the hands of the people who desire to serve humanity and that
Mm,
desire to really solve a lot of problems and the desire to
mm.
help clean up the planet and just it's pick your lane, right? My lane
Any
is
answers to that?
business.
Please share them with me.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I just want to say thank you so much for your time. And of course, for anyone that wants to connect with Noe and or House 33, Levita Gold, or Earth Wallet, we'll have more information on that in the description below. So you can absolutely connect there. And otherwise, just thank you so much for your time. And I look
Thank
forward
you.
to connecting with you again soon.
Thank you so much. All right.
You're
Bye
so
bye.
very welcome. Ciao, ciao.